you
Oh,
jumped out of, you follow, obviously followed the link, you got out of hyperspace, and you found yourself right here in Spoiler Zone. Ian here along with Chris, continuing our Last Jedi review for Star Wars. Man, Snoke's dead, dude.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, we're gonna spoil this rotten. This is gonna be bad. You know what? You say that you're trying to be the guy to jump out here with something thrilling. I just need to say this for the longtime Star Wars fans: you need to take your drink and pour a little bit out for Admiral Akbar.
Right?
Holy crap!
Ah, the feels.
A horrible way from, and it's just like a side note too.
It is. It is. It
Like,
doesn't.
oh,
It
yeah,
doesn't
the
even take
Admiral
center
Akbar
screen.
died there too.
Ah. And coming, for myself, coming from someone who has not even followed all the side Star Wars continuity and everything, that hurt. Like just hearing that scene. That, oh yeah, by the way, Akbar. It's like, oh, come on, like that.
Yep. So I have a feeling we're gonna get pretty negative on some of this stuff. Like I said in the non-spoilers, it's kind of amazing how Rian Johnson was able to really get a really good and fun movie out of this, because he really screws up on a lot of stuff. And I'm not a hater on this movie. There's a lot of people that are angry, and I get where they're coming from.
Right.
And I feel some of what they're saying, but I'm not in that boat. This is a good movie, and I don't know where this ranks for me yet. For me, it actually takes a long time. And in fact, my Star Wars movie rankings still shift from time to time. But there's some bad stuff here. Can I start with my number one complaint?
Hit it.
Okay. And I bring this up in the non-spoilers. The premise that this is all that's left of the Republic's fleet and the Republic Army is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. This is it. Like right away in the movie, it has been there now, and they made a big deal out of this. There's no time in between, maybe hours. I'll even give you a day, one day in between episode 7s and episode 8. This is it. These few ships in a republic the size of a galaxy.
Yeah.
This premise is ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's a joke. This premise is a joke. That all that's left are these handful of ships. In a couple days, the First Order, which by the way had their whole giant star killer planet destroyed as well, but still has the fleet and the ability to do that in a day or a couple days, since we'll even go a couple days since the whole conflict started in episode 7. That is, it's beyond stupid.
It's just, in episode 7, when we see the First Order's planetary weapon go off and it just pretty much take out the political portion, the Republic.
Which it does. It takes out the giant. It takes out where the New Republic is held, where the Senate held, which is not Coruscant, thankfully, which is still exists and still around. It's another planet. It takes out the biggest planets of that for the Republic and the Senate. It takes them all. I get it. The majority's gone. The majority. Yeah, I'll even say half of it. But that's what it was. 5 planets in a galaxy.
Yeah, it just if this
have millions of troops.
Yeah, if this was
thousands of ships.
If this was a lean operation from the very get-go, we had every sign on the board telling us that, I might have some room for that, but no, I agree. It's the scope of what we're covering, and especially what they're framed against it, is just too vast. It's fine if the First Order, has a bit more, maybe they more tech or had more time to amass. That's cool. But no, I don't see how we have so few numbers, and then even more so when they do have a chance to get situated inside a bunker and then an old rebel base to really send out a distress signal to really send the pros out there and say, hey, who else is there? Can we get in contact with her? Nothing.
Now, there's a couple easy ways they could have fixed this. While there wasn't an immediate time jump there wasn't a time jump in this movie at all. Everyone was assuming that there would be, in that this is generally how the First Order gets the upper hand on the Republic. It never happens. There is no time jump. Now I'll get into other complaints about that going forward. There is no time jump, and everyone assumed that there was going to be. Now I can understand that. We can go several months, and even that, I think it would take years, as
Right.
it did when the Republic rose up against the Empire. It took them forever to take the galaxy back over.
Right.
It didn't just happen.
Right.
It takes them years to do it. Now, I can understand that. And you kind of need that time jump because you got Luke training Rey, which is the other main complaint I have about them, and we'll get into that. Or you can maybe say that the First Order has planted enough people in the Republic that they're getting paid off, or they're secretly part of the First Order,
Right.
where the Republic refuses to send any ships out to help the Resistance. Now, I could buy that's all that's left of the Resistance, because
Right.
the Resistance is a small little sect that kind of works independently on its own, and General Leia leads it. I could get that.
Sure.
I could get either one of those premises, but no, this is it. The whole galaxy's Republic is gone. That is dumb. That is lazy. And I get why a lot of people have an issue with that. I will buy this premise only to be able to go forward in the movie, and I really don't have any choice.
Yeah.
So, but it is dumb on its face. And this is the biggest reason why I question whether Rian Johnson should be doing any more of these movies.
This really brings a large question into focus as well. I mean, of course, this is framed for us going into the next film. Part of this, though, I mean, to do that, and one thing we've always had in Star Wars films is never this thought in the back of our minds that, well, it's pretty much home team advantage. Empire 6 billion troops, rebels like 3. I mean, we always sort of accepted the premise that, okay, they might be outmanned in a few areas, they might have more technology, but I mean, there's still enough where if used smartly, we could see this as an even fight, or the way this could play out, or the way the rebels could get things leveraged and ultimately pull out a win. Writing things to this point, though, I think puts things in a kind of odd corner, and I'm really interested to see where this goes in the next film, or how how we get something, at least in taking a chunk out of the First Order exhaustively. Because, I mean, look at this. As you said, their planetary weapons gone. They had a dreadnought taken out near the beginning of the film. And then also one of their primary, the lead destroyer ships taken out. Even with all that, even with those massive losses, I don't feel that, okay, well, that's it, guys. First Order has been crippled to nothing. Guess they can't fight back.
Yeah, I would expect, which, by the way, one of my bigger complaints about Episode 7 is how the hell they built this planet-wide weapon without anyone catching on to this.
Thank you!
But again, you accept that premise. All right, look, you're going full bore on this. I appreciate the fact that near the end of the movie they bring up, well, there's a few sects out there that could maybe help, but they're not answering the call that we need, and we're not going to get any help. This is just wow. To J.J. Abrams, I'm sorry that you have to pick up that ball and play with it.
Yeah,
because especially because, I mean, he's the one that set it up. He set this up. He set this world up so that, okay, both these powers are crippled by the end of Episode 7.
Right.
And it could go either way. And I could understand them taking it in either direction. But to say that within 30 minutes into Episode 8, all that's left are, what was it, 4 ships?
Yeah.
And we're not just even talking about, oh, there's reserve. No, they make it very clear. This is it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. And it's so, what are you doing? Now, a larger issue that I have with this, and these are some of the bigger reasons why I barely gave this thing an average,
right,
or a little bit above average, is the fact that by doing what they did and how they went about it, it really feels like they take a larger part of the conflict from the original trilogy and they just make it not matter.
Right.
You got the same feeling?
No, yeah. Part of what I pointed at in non-spoiler when we were talking about some like the kind of murkiness or haziness, and I might parlay what you're saying here in a bit into some of the thoughts I had about Kylo Ren, and then we'll spiral on about that discussion. But yeah, one of the cameo upfront issues and conflicts that we originally had, we have that spun in such a different way here, that it's almost a little jarring, What if you could point to a scene that did that for you? I mean, can you, or would you say that's something you feel that's like a thread throughout?
And what do you mean? I need you to be a little bit more specific.
Okay. Do you feel what you just said about the conflict, taking from previous films, taking a bit of a backseat? Can you point to a specific moment from this film that really made you say, "Oh crap! Like there it is. That's what did that"? Or do you feel that that's just an overall thread we have running through the whole film?
At least as far as making the original trilogy irrelevant, I think that was something. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it wasn't intentional, but it definitely was a feeling that I got by the end of this film. I couldn't give you a specific moment on that.
Okay.
Part of the job of this original trilogy is to move us away from the prequel trilogy as much as possible, just because while there's some good things in there, and they reference it a couple times, generally it's felt like we need to move away from that. So I couldn't say, it is actually referenced a couple times, to its credit. But yeah, no, I can't think of anything specifically that made me feel like, oh, they're doing that. Now, as far as and we're talking about the galactic conflict in the original trilogy, right? And that,
right.
As far as that specific topic, no, there wasn't. It was just kind of a feeling by the end of the movie. It's like, wow, you really just kind of made a lot of things irrelevant.
Yeah,
it was just a feeling that I had by the end of the film.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And one area I do want to look at within that, because we're building a lot of this, the backbone, the structure of this on the very ashes of the Empire. I think back to one of the big epic early shots from Episode 7 where you have Rey salvaging parts from that downed destroyer.
Right.
That was a huge visual image. I mean, and really set in your mind, hey, the Empire's crumbled. This is all those massive battles you remember in all those destroyers. Like, hey, like here's one just parked in the sand, straight out. Like, that ended. And I wonder how much room we even have to even build on that at this point, because with really the political branches being out of the way, political intrigue has always been one of the backdrops of Star Wars. What does this become? What's the rebel leadership, at least what's left of it? I think pretty much we're looking to our immediate characters for that.
I just have to fix one thing you said there. Rebel leadership. There's like seriously all the rebellion fit in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, exactly. What's left of it?
They're all leadership or none. Take your pick. There's more people that work at a McDonald's.
Yeah, no, true, man. I really question how that's going to build.
Jesus,
anything else? That's weird. You need that outline support to always build things, not just structurally, but really have something to kind of pull you out of just the Jedi battles or just the specifics. Yeah. That's what's one thing that's always been exciting to me about Star Wars is that you're able to follow these large conflicts and large political scales, but then you can, on a dime, scale down and look at, hey, there's this Jedi and this Sith, but then zoom back out again and there's all this stuff happening saying, hey, with these 2 or 3 characters they're doing, this is why that matters, because there's this whole issue over here and this is what it points to. But
well, yeah, I mean, I don't think Rian Johnson understands a lot of how this works, at least from the timelines of the original trilogy. Most people, and by people I mean people in this universe, during the time of the original trilogy, a lot of them don't think Darth Vader is even a real person. There's been a lot of propaganda that's given out. Like you go to Rogue One, and when they see him at the end of the movie, they know that's Darth Vader.
Right.
I mean, because there's been enough propaganda that's been given out for the last couple decades. But a lot of them had never seen him before, and there was probably half of them didn't even believe he even existed. And a lot of that goes to Luke Skywalker as well. Like, Luke Skywalker did not stand in front of an army of millions of people for them all to see. You know, he was, for some people, I mean, because again, we're talking on the scale of a galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't think Rian Johnson had a good grip on the size of what we're talking about.
Right.
And so while it's true that, you know, for a Jedi to stand up and to push forward during a dark time, that's important, and some people see it. It's the rumors, it's the fact that it's happening, it's what people talk about. You know, after the Emperor died, they tried to continue to say that he didn't die. It was, you know, there's a lot of propaganda and that he's still around, and that there's this new, you know, there's new objectives, but eventually it just, you know, it doesn't matter. Enough people realize that he is dead, and you know, in general, I don't think he grasped the scale of what we're talking about here, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I think, hey, you know what, come up with some general ideas for a trilogy, but yeah, I think what we saw in this movie doesn't make him fit to do a new trilogy. I don't think he grasps the scale of what we're talking about.
Wow. You know, and I think that's a pointedly, you know, a bold statement, considering, you know, what we've, based off of what we've seen, of course, and what we have. My only redeeming counter to that is I would be willing to, at this point, you could argue it's too late, but willing to say, if you have some larger arc that you're pointing to with some of these things, so be it. If you're trying to make a larger connection, I'm interested in seeing what that is, and I think him following that through to that point, I mean, he's ridden himself into a corner with a few things, just in terms of general world building and all that. But
but even more so, it's a corner he doesn't have to worry about. In fact, he painted it in a corner, but he was able to get out of the corner, and now J.J. Abrams has to go sit in it.
Right. So, that's the rough part. How it plays out. You know, other crushing moments here. There's something that this, instead of going on the macro, this is more like on the micro. Thinking about characters, were you as bothered as I was about what we get about Rey's parents, their disposition? Do you believe that?
I believe it, and I didn't mind that. I thought it was. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was weak.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit of a hack move. Same. But I'm okay with that premise. I had a couple premises in mind as far as what's going on. My number one premise was that she was a Kenobi.
Right.
I thought possibly a relative of Palpatine. But what was most important to me, which they did say that she was that she's kind of an embodiment of the Force to bring balance back.
Right.
Which she is. Now that's probably the most general and easiest answer out of all of them. Would I have ever guessed that she was nobody? No, but I'm okay with it. I'm fine with this. This is okay. It doesn't always have to have lineage.
Right.
You know, the Force can pick anyone.
It can. I think that's something that's a little jarring for anybody that may have been thinking in terms of, as you said for lineage, trying to make larger connections, you know, to the rest of Star Wars. If you take this at face value, though, and if you really look back at history, there is some base for this. I mean, you know, you look at Luke. I mean, him and his folks, they didn't exactly start off as, you know, millionaires or, you know, superstars and things like that. He came from very humble beginnings, and where things went, even with Anakin, from where he began to the heights that he rose to how far he fell, and then ultimately, you know, redeeming himself in the end. That's full circle. So it's not like this doesn't happen. Fair enough.
It's Anakin was Star Wars Jesus.
Pretty much.
So, No, but hey, what'd you think of that Snoke background story we got?
Oh, you mean the extra 40 minutes of exposition and
Yeah, I
narrative
mean,
that yeah. That,
this ancient, almost all powerful, evil. I can't say Sith because he's not a Sith, but
right.
dark side welding, evil, powerful Force user, and the whole story that we got about Snoke and why he even exists. What do you think about that? I thought that was excellently done. By the way of not doing anything at all. That pissed me off.
So yeah, sometimes it's the things you don't say that make the best one. No, seriously, this here was one of the things that took at least half a point to a whole point away. Probably at least half a point in my book. This was a real surprise. This was a character that I wanted to know more about. That I wanted to at least, even if you don't do a full origin story, where'd this guy come from?
There needed to be an explanation.
Yeah. How is he so powerful? Look, here's the important thing. Look at it. This is the guy that sees the reins of the First Order. Having a character
Right.
that powerful and that important, that goes beyond Jedi, Sith, Dark Side, whatever else. I mean, yes, he is a really prominent Force wielder. I'm interested to hear that as well. But to really have him as sort of a build him, honestly, in Episode 7 as really more of a periphery, but still really important a character, and really make inroads to expand on him in the next film, and then have him offed. So
Right. Well, no, he's the one that basically he took what was left of the Empire and he created the First Order.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. We deserve an explanation.
Yeah.
And again, I'm fine that they killed him. In fact, I thought it was a great arc for Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Like, he just took him out. Like, I thought that was great. I'm fine that they took him out. I don't need Snoke there, but you need to explain this person.
Yeah.
There has to be an explanation as to why this character exists, and I don't expect you to go into major detail, but go into it enough.
I agree.
They didn't do it at all. That's so cheap.
Yeah.
That's just bad.
Yeah.
And
this was probably the most jarring part for me.
Gosh.
Oh man. So I mean, what else you got in this guy? I mean, we'll have some references and allusions and stuff again. Maybe something, to
Yeah, they may say something in episode 9.
Yeah.
There might be some explanation. There's a little. See, I'm going to get into it again.
Here we go.
Here,
Hit it. Yeah, hit it.
There's, when you talk about the extended canon, you get into the books and comics and stuff. They sprinkle a little bit in about the history of Snoke, what's going on, and his connection, which they didn't elaborate on in the slightest. The Knights of Ren,
Right.
and what they've been doing,
Oh.
and where they are. Where the hell are the Knights of Ren? Where are they? How many did you see? I saw one. I saw Kylo Ren.
Right. I mean, could an argument be made that at least part of the Knights of Ren was his personal retinue, all the fellows in red that surrounded his throne?
No, that's his royal guards. That's not the Knights of Ren.
All right, it's a figure. It's just part of the.
It's not the Knights of Ren. Specifically, it's not. And they don't get now. Here's what pisses me off. Now, I told you about this once on the Jagged Edge. We were talking about this. There was a fight scene that was shot in Octu.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fight scene with Kylo and the Knights of Ren versus Luke and Rey. It was shot.
That's right. That's
it was
right.
Done. It is nowhere to be seen.
Ah. Oh.
There were Knights of Ren with axes and swords and lightsabers, and Luke just decimates them, and Rey and Kylo go off and fight, and it's nowhere to be seen. Now that's fine; these things happen.
Right.
They shoot these, but there is not one word of the Knights of Ren other than the fact, and this is more of an assumption than anything, when Luke says that when Kylo left, he took some of the Jedi with him.
Right.
Which, by the way, where the hell are the other Jedi?
Yeah. Just
He was never the last Jedi.
no.
There's other Jedi.
My-
He trained them.
To be fair, my assumption from what was inferred in that scene, I was less hung up on that one because I thought that he killed everyone that was a Jedi except Luke, who maybe he'd assumed he was dead after Force collapsing the ceiling on him, and the rest of those who were alive that had chosen to defect went with him and became part of that Order of Knights. I just what I inferred from that, I assumed they were dead.
But they haven't actually said that now. They've had 2 movies now where they could actually say that the rest of the Jedi were killed. It has not been said. It's said that he destroyed his new Jedi temple in the new Jedi Order. It has not been specifically said that all of his Jedi that he had been training, which by the way he's had 30 years to train them, so they could be full-grown adults in Jedi. It's not been said that they're dead. And where are the Knights of Ren? Where the hell are these guys?
Yeah, I think if we're gonna see any more from at least that post that betrayal arc, we would see the Knights of Ren. I have a very hard time seeing where we see any Jedi pop up. I think Luke and not now with Luke Force ghosting, with him out of the picture, I think Rey's about it right now. There's others who are touched with the Force. I thought that was a kind of neat wink at that the boy that was enslaved, who obviously he's got a lot of potential. He obviously can use the Force partially right now. That always tells you there's going to be someone else out there. There's others that are. It's always seeking to balance itself out. You're always going to have that, but I don't think we have anybody on that level besides Luke and Rey. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, they have at least said if all the rest of the Jedi are in fact dead, we do know that there were other Jedi that Lucas trained that left with Kylo Ren.
Right.
So there's other ones out there. There's other Knights of Ren. We haven't seen them. I can accept the fact that maybe they're all off doing important missions, taking on the Republic. Sure. Oh wait, no, the Republic's all dead.
Yeah, sure. About that, I mean, they would have been chasing down those 4 ships, right?
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I mean, seriously, this is like first year college bad writing with some of this. Now let's get to the last one.
Yeah.
My last big issue. All right. So one of the biggest complaints, and there aren't many about The Empire Strikes Back, is how quickly it takes for Luke to pick up being a Jedi. And while they openly say that, it has not been, in fact, it's an undefined amount of time that he's being trained by Yoda, but the general reference is somewhere between days to a couple weeks.
Right.
And they openly say, hey, look, you're not done being trained. Mm-hmm. You're not a Jedi yet. Rey apparently picks it up in a day.
Yeah.
And in fact, not only did she pick it up in a day, but Yoda himself says she doesn't need anything that's in those books that we just burned.
Right.
She has everything she needs already. What?
Oh boy.
What the? I get it when there are Star Wars fans who are just like, I'm done. I'm screwed. I get it. I understand. I'm not doing that because now we're talking so much negative here. There's some good parts. I enjoyed this movie though.
Definitely, same here.
But yeah, really. There's some really bad stuff here. I mean, Rian Johnson, who everyone says, oh, he's a big Star Wars fan. And you hear him say it himself in interviews. You took a huge shit all over this stuff. You really did. You really, really did. I mean, and that was, you must have had pasta and like chocolate pudding afterwards, and you must have been sick. You really just took a huge shit all over this.
To play devil's advocate, I think there's a separate way to read what Yoda was saying. I think viewed as an all-inclusive, she has not only what she needs in terms of lesson-wise, but she's just literally full-fledged power-wise Jedi, or seeing that from more of just a teaching perspective. Now, I saw that moment, and here's what I like, because this took me back to Dagobah Swamp. There was a time when, this was full circle for Luke too, Yoda restores some of his confidence and faith in what can be done by really showing him, look, physical limitations aren't a thing. You're talking about how big the X-Wing fighter is, or the weight of the object you're trying to lift. You're thinking about the wrong thing. That's not what you need to be focusing on. And once dispelled, Luke took an important lesson from that. Here, as Yoda said, same Skywalker still looking at the horizon without seeing the thing that's right in front of you. Instead of making an illustration saying, hey, move, get the idea of this scale of a physical object out of your mind. It's get the idea of the dogmatic teaching, the books only, all the basics, all the rules you've been following out of your mind, and look within your heart. Really,
oh yeah. All that dogmatic training that Yoda himself taught for over 900 years.
Still, what I'm coming back to, it's outside the training.
Himself bitched about to ghost Obi-Wan.
I think it's outside of the training. I really think that what I took away from that, at least, was the larger point he was making was she has what she needs in terms of where her compass is, where her heart is in all this, and that type of foundation. Does she have? Now, I don't think she has everything she is. I think it's ridiculous to say it at this point with how short a time she's been coming into the Force. If that's really the full leap we're making, that kind of blows. But I took that as more of a distant lesson, like a literal.
You know who I feel bad for?
Who?
The caretakers on Ahch-To.
Right. All their stuff wrecked.
Yeah, all that stuff. And then here comes Yoda, probably one of the longest living and one of the best Jedis ever. And just the lack of appreciation for the work they put in just sets a tree on fire. With the original Jedi books in it.
Yep.
The only thing that was missing for them to be in the background watching and crying as the tree burns, and him turning around with his little Muppet fingers and flipping them off. It's the only thing missing from that. Which, by the way, it was kind of cool to see Muppet Yoda.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Good throwback.
But that's. Do you remember in the prequel trilogy where it's in episode 2 and he's training all the little kids and they're all wearing the helmets and they can't see and they all have little lightsabers.
Right.
And the Jedi training usually started, I think, somewhere around the age of 5, something like that, and went on sometimes for decades until you were considered a Jedi Knight. Right. But she got everything she needed on that half-day seminar that her job sent her to.
Oh man!
They asked, I'm not trying to sound like that super mega nerd. Maybe I am, and if that's the case, then I'll own it. But I don't think I am. I think I think for me, they're just Rian Johnson is just asking you to just throw away way too much.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the issue right here with Rey centers around. I think here's where our commonality is in this. Her ascendancy into the Force and her stepping into this amount of power. A lot of people point at lineage, or why does she have such a strong, pull towards the Force? What is it really just the Force trying to balance out the equation, or is there some other reason she's just ridiculous like this? At this point, I'm taking, as we discussed earlier, the whole lineage thing off the table, but having some sort of basis for how a character like this rises so fast and so prominently, but just with Rey's displaying, I'm putting this up there. We've hyped Anakin / Darth Vader, the Skywalker family for years, their accomplishments, what they did, how powerful they were, and I'm looking at her and I'm just like, holy crap! Like, I guess at the end of the day, I'm wondering what is the basis.
Right, well, I'll tell you what the basis is. The basis is the first 6 movies that came before this new trilogy, where the whole conflict of Darth Vader and Anakin turning into Darth Vader, even though he had the best of the best in Jedis training him, with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu and Yoda and all the others, still, his feelings and his fear was enough to not only collapse himself, but the whole galaxy. But that's all right. She picked up what she needed in a day Even though she's a hell of a lot more powerful than anyone else besides Snoke and Kylo and maybe Luke, but she's definitely up there. Her raw power is unheard of.
It is.
That's all right. Don't worry about training her. She's all right. Even though you openly said that she went straight to the dark side, Yoda's cool with this. Yoda's fine with this. And his 900 years of training things. It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
It was just, this is... So let me sum this all up. And this is something I caught early on with this movie. There is undoubtedly a sleight of hand going on here. There's definitely a lot of trickery going on as to what they're trying to make you feel is good and bad and right and wrong in this universe.
Right.
And that's it right there. I mean, it's beautifully done. It's a well done movie as far as the directing and cinematography and the audio, the score, the soundtrack. It's all beautifully done, but it's all beautifully done around some serious shit. It really is. I mean, the fact that Yoda would come out and say, "Hey, this is okay."
Yeah.
I get what they were trying to say, and I don't disagree with the premise of what they were saying. Hey, maybe it's time that we do let these things go, and maybe it's a time to start anew. I get that,
right.
But considering everything else you've already told us, for them to say, "Yeah, don't worry about Rey, don't worry about what she's doing," it's too much. It's too much, and there's a sleight of hand here, and I get why a lot of people are pissed off about it.
And I think you hit a really important note. Coming into this movie, one of my biggest questions was, what's the type of path Rey's following? At the end of episode 7, I was not convinced that, this is the goody two shoes that we're looking for. That's it right here. She's fully aligned with the light side of the Force, and that's all. No, I mean, if anything, I saw her as sort of walking that gray line. Where do I fit? What is all of this about? And sort of stumbling through that. And a lot of my larger questions about alignment were things, and I on the one upside, I think this film did answer that for me at least. I'm not at this point, really kind of curious. Is she gonna, pick some other option, sort of in the middle, actually turn to the dark side? No, I think she's pretty stable, and as far as where she's aligned right now. But when you look at the way those things are answered, with the way we've explored that, with the way we've delved into it, and moreover with the weight of what Yoda's saying about it, because we can't help but take that seriously. I mean, Yoda is the preeminent of the preeminent, and that's another unique thing to Star Wars that I found. It's one of the few series I've seen where you get certain characters who can just mention lines, just a few lines, and it will cast importance and weight over the entire series, or over the next few movies, or whatever else, because it matters that much. So,
right. I guess for me, so we have the dark side and we have the light side.
Yeah,
and that's where we're moving forward. And the closest thing that we have a name for the dark side are the Knights of Ren, and that's. It's not Sith. Sith are gone. Luke Skywalker got rid of Sith. Okay. And so there's the Jedi are, even though he's not the last Jedi, I'm kind of getting the feeling that the Jedi are done.
Right.
Maybe they're not. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
But we have the dark side and we have the light side. And something that they've been kind of alluding to for the last year and a half or so is they've been introducing the Bendu.
Yeah.
And those are the gray Jedi.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought maybe that's where this is leading. And there's still an argument to be said that maybe it is.
Right.
But you didn't have to torch everything else to take us there.
Literally.
Yeah, well, that's I didn't even think of it like that. Literally, you didn't have to torch it all. Man, JJ.
Yeah.
Poor motherfucker. I don't even know if you try. I don't even know if you try to gain back what's probably going to be ultimately hundreds of thousands of fans that are going to be pissed off about this and swear off Star Wars. There's a lot of them. it's not just 5 guys hanging out in a basement that are pissed. There's a lot of people upset about this. And now we haven't even gotten to the last major thing to bitch about. Luke Skywalker.
Ah, yes. This is what we one of our opening notes in the non-spoiler section, but also one of the driving things behind this film. Okay, so check this out. You've waited decades.
Yep, over 3 decades.
Over 3 decades for Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker to step in. This is the preeminent Star Wars figure, arguably at this point. The Last Jedi, our title of the movie, and we have this
balance to the Force.
To the Force, picking right back up. Rey coming to Luke, presenting him with the lightsaber, and we get lightsaber chucked.
What'd you think of that? Specifically, what'd you think of that moment?
I mean, literally, that's just something that just went back in my mind. I was just like, damn.
I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that part. I'm okay with him taking it and chucking it. That, okay, we've had 35 years now since we last saw this character. There's a little bit in some small pieces of canon and everything that we've seen, but generally we've got a long time. Some serious shit went down 5 years ago as far as canon's concerned. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, he's not been a hermit this whole time. He's only been there for about 5 years.
Yeah, this is true.
So, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. It would have been awesome when he had the porgs on it and the one was stepping on the button and would have killed.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, I was wondering if something like that was going to happen.
That would have been funny, but I'm okay with it. Some people are upset with that. I'm okay with that. There's definitely, I mean, maybe if there could have been another moment of him looking at it and being nostalgic about the person he was then.
Yeah.
And where he was on his journey at that point. I'm all right with that. What bothers me, though, is how he closed himself off to the Force.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
It's that scene, and I present that here. I actually agree that that was more of like the shock scene for me, but I found that as more representative of what everything else meant. The concept of him not just closing himself off from the rest of the struggles that were happening in family and friends, but the Force itself. In what universe did I ever imagine Luke Skywalker, or any Jedi for that matter, purposely trying to stifle or mute their own link with the Force? Blows me away.
Right.
Blows me away. Like, if it's about avoiding conflict or guilt, which is where I thought things just generally were, just on an emotional level, but to go to that extreme, I was not expecting that. No,
it really, they really did this character wrong. Now, here's the thing. Before Carrie Fisher's passing, if you would have asked me, do I think Luke is going to appear and die in Episode 8, I would have said yes.
Right.
I would have said yes. He'll have, it'll be his episode. It'll be glorious for him.
Yep.
But he'll die in the end. After Carrie Fisher passes away, it's like, well, there has to be something of the old guard to move this forward.
Yep.
And they'll take out Leia in Episode 8, but Luke will be around to lead the charge in Episode 9.
Right.
No.
Nope.
Wrong. Wrong. And I don't care if they've already shot all the scenes for Episode 9 for Leia. I'm fine with that. I don't care if they recast her. I'm fine with either. Fine.
Right.
Just do that story right. I'm okay with that. But what do you think about Luke's death? Let's even for the moment pass by the fact that he died. What did you think about how he died?
Yeah, let's step into this, and this brings one of my big point/questions for where we're standing now. This is what I like to call the 5D, the transcendence or Force ghosting, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
First scene, my knowledge, in New Hope with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader assuming that he cut him down, but obviously he hadn't. Really prominent Masters Force users seem to come to a point where once they're completely at peace with where they are, or they have enough of a mastery and understanding of where they are with the Force, and they feel they I guess supposed to achieve their mission or whatever else, they can really just step out of the physical realm. That this is just another part of the puzzle. This puts a huge question mark in my mind. Is okay, this like fourth/fifth dimensional stepping that we're looking at here with the Force. How much is this going to come into play in later films?
You mean the projecting thing that he did?
No, not just projecting. I'm talking his actual death, quote unquote.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in Episode 9 in some degree. So, Force Ghost.
Yeah, and I just wonder this because Obi-Wan did, and he sort of helped Luke from a distance. When he was making his run to destroy the Death Star, but we really didn't hear much else until into Return of the Jedi, seeing everyone there, in a quote unquote spirit form. I'm really, really curious about that at this point. It's a way I did not expect Luke to be removed, or removed. Period. As you said, that's
well, no. Why would anyone expect that? Why would anyone expect for Luke Skywalker to die right after using a Force ability we have never seen?
Right.
There's been. Again, I point to that whole fight scene with the Knights of Ren that was shot and we never got.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff that got changed when it comes to Luke and what they do with him. And I think at one point he actually was going to leave Ahch-To. And a lot of the stuff that you saw, at least as far as him standing in front of the last rebellion base, and which by the way was just a powerful and awesome scene. Seeing him standing in front of all those new version of AT-ATs and all that stuff,
sure was
just beautiful. But I think a lot of that got changed. I can't imagine why, but I really feel like what we're looking at is a version 2 of how this stuff was all going to go. I certainly hope so.
Same.
And we'll probably never get what it was originally going to be, nor should we, I guess. It's not going to be canon, even if we got it. But, I mean, there's some... I'm not a huge fan of fanfare.
Right.
I think it can weaken your story. It can ruin the credibility. But this was 34 years and Luke fucking Skywalker.
Yeah.
Give us, when Return of the Jedi came out, the whole light and dark, Jedi, Sith, what they can do, what they can't, wasn't really defined.
Right.
There were the basics were defined. I mean, for example, you have Luke doing force chokes to pig people.
Yep.
In Return of the Jedi, which can be fine for Luke because he's that guy. He kind of walks down the middle.
Right.
So that's okay. But and he's never had real proper training as far as, let me say, typical training. And consider, but we've had 3 decades plus of defining what this is and what this means, and we don't, all right, you can frame Luke in this in a much better way now. You can define this for us, explain to us exactly what kind of Jedi he is. He's supposed to be the most powerful Jedi ever, but even then, in Return of the Jedi, his powers pale in comparison to things that we've seen from other movies and canon. And they just don't, we get one brief moment of how powerful he really is, which you have to question because it's not even him; it's a projection.
Exactly.
Does he really move that fast? Are his abilities really that quick? It's just such a shame doesn't cover it. It's bullshit.
Yes,
it was their job to give us this character in all his glory.
And when we look at new Force abilities displayed too, this is important too. After that, there's real quick. There's just 2 that jump out. We have the projection, Luke, and also this idea of a link, the Force link, that Snoke places between Ren and between Kylo. Really 2 interesting things that we don't really see at all in Star Wars, and one of which, the latter, the one Luke uses, ultimately, obviously, is something very exhausting because he's spent after using that. I mean, for
Oh, he's not spent. He's dead.
well, spent leading to death. But it's really a surprise for something like that to cause that level of exertion for him to die from using it. Which really, my hope, really my last scrap of hope with that is, again, this stepping into this force ghosting comes into play, has some kind of extra rationale or reasoning. I could even accept Yoda's more when he died on Dagobah, because he didn't. First of all, he didn't ghost. He had aged so much, obviously, and I could see this as this last act that he does, restoring Luke's X-wing, was really one of the last physical strains that he could really wiststand at that point.
Well, yeah, a lot of people have led to the conclusion that Yoda stays alive just long enough to make sure that the arts of the Jedi are passed on.
Exactly.
Which then he's perfectly fine destroying them and making sure that the person who's going to lead him on from there had a 30-minute session on what it's like to be a Jedi.
And it's why I'm questioning quote unquote deaths. We've seen both.
There's a lot to question here.
There is.
My point.
Both naturally, like the way Yoda passed, and also the way Luke passes, quote unquote. It's just man, it almost feels like an unfinished sentence.
Why? Look, this is Luke Skywalker, all right? Hero of the Republic and the Rebellion, all right? He's a wartime Jedi. I mean, what we don't see is that he has been in countless amounts of battles. He's a battle-hardened guy. As powerful as he is, and as healthy as he is enough to, fish and train a Jedi. He's not in bad shape. He's not in bad physical shape or anything. All right, he's not going to throw his life away for I'm the diversion.
Right.
I'm the diversion. No, he has enough self-respect to know that he can take out legions of First Order. He's not going to throw himself away for I'm the diversion.
This is where I was honestly questioning how that scene was going to play out. You know where my mind instantly went? That scene from Clone Wars that Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I instantly started thinking about that, and I said, "Now, to what extreme are they going to play this? Let me see how this unfolds."
Well, and not to mention the fact that Luke Skywalker would be smart enough, even if he does just project himself to that area, if assuming it won't kill him because he's not that stupid, but maybe he's even been at this rebel camp before, this rebel base before. Right. We don't know that he hasn't. They know what it is, so maybe Leia knew. Maybe she'd been there before. There's so many issues with this, but he's been in battle enough and knows enough to where I think he would be able to think of and use his Jedi powers, maybe coinciding with Leia's as well,
right?
To find a better way to go other than taking your MVP and torching them in front of the rebel base.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Also, you touched on that real quick. Leia awakening to some of her Force potential.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't. Now, I had read some other things leading up to this movie about how she was going to use this, but basically to the same effect. And a lot of people were like, oh, Mary Poppins, y'all. Nah, she's fine. That was fine.
Yeah. That works, and she's a Skywalker.
Right.
We get it.
I'm good with it. I'm okay with it.
Same.
Yeah, so, geez, really, Rian Johnson, hey, you know what? You made a good film besides, we've dug into this.
Yeah.
In every kick to the head we've given to Rian Johnson about what he's done here, he's deserved it. But there are some good stuff here. There are a lot of good things here as Very well. This was a fun movie. Really, wow. I don't blame him. I don't blame a single person who never wants to see another Star Wars movie again. Disney had I get it. They bought this for, what was it, $4 billion. But they have a responsibility to the fans. They really do. And while I don't say that with the same kind of heft that I think a lot of other people would,
right?
It is there. This is Luke frickin' Skywalker. This is Star Wars. These things matter to a lot of people. And they matter to you because you're going to lose out on millions because you didn't take care of it right. It's just that simple.
Yeah. While this moment surprising to find it was, while this did not lose me, I will be greatly looking forward to seeing how force ghosting, how this fifth dimension, how this plays or does not play into the rest of this arc with what they're doing. This has really sparked my curiosity, and I'm holding out a bit, just seeing. Okay, what's your larger link or larger connection?
Oh yeah,
here?
I mean, there's another part of this trilogy. I'm not throwing myself out of being a Star Wars fan. I'm still here. I'm still going to watch it. There's a lot of good stuff going on here yet, but they really did. He really, because I say he, even though Disney backed him on this, they released this thing. They never told him, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Really just shat all over a lot of stuff. I mean, what we've covered since we started this spoiler review, this is some really stupid stuff that he did with this movie.
All right, have it.
Okay, so now we should talk about some of the positive things though before we go.
Yeah. So back to the upsides is what we're saying. I mean,
let's do that. I've dug a pretty hole, but I'm out of it.
Because look, there's a reason we gave this ratings where we did. Myself at 8.5, yourself at 7. With the basics, of course, in terms of just basic physical media, sound, audio, graphically, the types of shots that we're using, the styling, all excellent. And I'm interested to see some of the filming locations. They're sweeping, beautiful. Where Luke had gone into solitude, the island, the first Jedi temple. That world was spectacular. The island was so well done in its scope, and I think scope is the word that's is the beacon word I use for a lot of this. This film, I think all throughout, from the space battles to planetary locations, all of it did a really, really good job of relaying how colossal some of the mechanical elements were, from the Imperial battering ram cannon that was based off of Death Star tech. These massive dreadnought class weapons, their dreadnought starship, the planets themselves, all of it was spot on and fit really well.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, most of what I think we've had negatives on and complained about are things that matter, as far as things that have been ingrained into the Star Wars lore. And if you get past that, and keep in mind when you watch this movie, they are introducing a new generation of characters. They are introducing a way forward past what has been. Right. And we may not agree with that, at least how they go about it, but inevitably that is what's going to happen here. This is, we're talking about the future of Star Wars, and we're talking about, where they're going to go. And everything you just said, generally speaking, I think, you have to accept the fact that George Lucas is not making this movie.
Right.
That being said, the feel of this and being a Star Wars movie is pretty damn good.
It is.
Complaints aside, the battles are awesome. The story moving forward is pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, accepting the flaws that it has. They do a really good job of character development, especially when it comes to Poe and Rey. What'd you think of? What do you think about at the end there when Finn's going to sacrifice himself? What do you think of that? I thought that was great. I think they should have let him.
Yeah, he was all in.
I mean, and they had built it up to that. I disagree with the premise that Rose says, this is how we win, by protecting the ones we love, or protecting what we love.
Right.
And it's like, Finn's been a brainwashed stormtrooper most of his life.
Right.
He doesn't have anything he loves. But in that regard, from what we saw from the storytelling for this movie, I thought it went really good. I definitely could have seen a better film had they let him do that. Now, that being said, I like the character of Finn, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the future. But geez, that would have been great. But that was fine as well. Rose doing that was fine as well. I like the character. They missed a moment there, but maybe there's something that's going to happen in Episode 9 that's going to pay off for that.
They've created a love triangle first and foremost.
Right. Adam Driver is just awesome. I mean, we saw Hayden Christensen struggle being Anakin Skywalker, and at least to the point where a lot of fans don't like how he delivered that character. Um, I rarely see complaints about Adam Driver as Kylo Ren.
Oh, he's excellent.
And now he's top shit.
Yeah.
He's king of the hill, and I think he's going to be able to carry it. I really do hope that we see the Knights of Ren in Episode 9. I hope they play a role. Otherwise, at least give us a reason for their absence. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what Kylo Ren's like on top of it here. To me, it's kind of cool because going into episodes 5 and 6, continuing the original trilogy. No, I actually have to say for the whole trilogy, Darth Vader, as badass as he is not the top dog.
Right.
And it's kind of cool to where we are seeing, especially because it is such a motivating force for Ben Solo, for Kylo Ren, to be as good and surpass his grandfather. Dude's doing it.
I agree.
Doing it.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's really cool. It's cool to see. Again, we're talking about things that are old, that are new, things that are the way they used to be. You're seeing shades of that in these new movies, but you saw what I thought was a very powerful evolution of the bad guy, or at least the bad guy we're following. And you had that whole relationship with the Dark Lord, Darth Vader, and the head guy Palpatine, the Sith Lord, and how that worked out as far as a horrible relationship that was, especially for Darth Vader. Especially what he lost and what he gave, and then nothing in return. And hey, Kylo Ren he's climbing the ladder.
He is. While you of course would assume at some point that there would be a betrayal that occurred there, stylistically, the way this was done, I think was right on. At the heart of this shows, in even way faster than Anakin came to this conclusion. Kylo Ren is not someone who's willing to sit by and be manipulated for nothing, for no reason, to continue being used and not have any kind of return. He's always looking for something equivocal in whatever relationship he gives, and he knows that he's being played. But it's only to the point that he sees that is a dead end, and it's only when it's convenient for Snoke to all of a sudden heap praise on him and say, hey, if you do this, now my faith's restored. Hey, if you do this, now you're important. No, with him seeing that as really a waste of staying under that type of tutelage, he just takes into his own hands. He didn't need any massive, too much of a convincing scene. I mean, you could argue, Rey's influence on him. I understand that they're linked, but he's very much someone who steers his ship. I think he sees the writing on the wall. He's smart enough to see through that and break through it, which was a simultaneous praise and something that I'm really wondering, seeing from afterward. This idea of his reset button, of wanting to create something out of the ashes of all of it. Let the rebels burn. Let the First Order fall over, all of it, and hit that reset button. Ultimately, with an unsteady hand, that's something that could just be recorrupted all over again, and you repeat the cycle. In really looking at what he's really after. But at the end of the day, I think it's cool that you have a character that has such high ambition, even if he doesn't have the skeleton model drawn up for. Okay, hey, here's the play. This is exactly what I'm going to construct. What I'm going to do. The fact that he recognizes what he needs to stand outside of to advance, to keep advancing, to keep growing, because he is obsessed. The one thing that just irks him is being told that you will never be as powerful as Vader. He wants to keep climbing that ladder. He wants to ascend, and I think and I'm answering my own question here, honestly. That need to ascend, that need to continue becoming more powerful to prove his worth by transcending Vader, man, that's a mission in and of itself. And I'm with you. I think he's on track to do it.
No, well, he's done it.
Yeah,
he's done it. He's on the top. He's on the tippy top now. He needs to do seminars as to how to climb the ladder in your corporation. No, it was cool because even though these aren't technically Sith, these are dark side welders, Force users, with the same old struggle. The big struggle, the rule of two. for the Sith is that there's only two. There's the Master and the Apprentice,
Yep.
and eventually the Apprentice will kill the Master. And the Master knows that that they're going to try.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that's coming out a lot between Darth Vader and Sidious is how many times Sidious tried to kill Vader, and how many times Vader just was trying to find the opportunity to kill him.
Yep.
And you know, it's perfect. He saw it. I mean, despite everything that was going on right at that moment, he's like, that motherfucker just put that lightsaber right next to him.
Yep.
And ironic and also fitting at the same time that it was Anakin's lightsaber,
wasn't it?
And it was just he just took it. It's like, yes.
And one thing I'm just saying, just in terms of just raw power, force wise, there is really clever here to have the mental state and state of the Force to keep enough focus to know that his mind was being looked into the entire time, but to keep enough presence to keep him focused where he wanted Snoke focused, even though Snoke thought just the opposite, that he was keeping it where he wanted him focused, and to have the clarity to execute just such a gentle, such a subtle, but such a bold move to off him with that saber. Well done. Excellent scene.
I thought it was hilarious a little bit later on when they get to the next part of that after the fight with the guards and everything, and Hux comes in and finds Snoke cut in half.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren wakes up.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren does exactly what he should do. He assumes leadership, and Hux is like, "What makes you think you're leader?" And Kylo Ren's like, "Bitch, please." Who else is gonna lead this?
It's funny. At this rate, I don't think Hux has a very long lifespan.
I don't know, man. I think he's sniveling enough to keep himself going.
Yeah, the fact he is sniveling. You know, he'll be brought just that very end, but him having, you know, command matches here with Kylo Ren standing right next to him, you know, sort of bucking. He didn't have that same, you know, sort of hoofing at Snoke, you know, when he was in charge. You know, part of it's because I think he's always had some malice. He's always seen Kylo Ren as like a little less, an upstart, a snot. You know, and it's always been, there's a lot of one-upmanship between those two.
And again, you got to remember, Kylo Ren's only been around for about 5 years.
He has. He's
Hux probably had to work his way up the ladder and fight and claw to become where he is, which is basically second or third in command of the First Order, which actually, you know, I'm going to assume that he either wasn't born or was too young to even remember the Empire.
Right.
And you know, he's probably a child of people who worked for the Empire, who were part of the Empire. He's probably a second generation or something like that. Yeah, but then here comes Kylo Ren just coming in, just, you know, hey, I'm all badass. So yeah, the conflict between them, I think, is done really well.
Yeah.
And just Kylo Ren just taking it. You know, it's interesting because, you know, him offering a spot next to him to Rey, I thought was really interesting.
Same.
Very, very similar to what Darth Vader did with Luke. I mean, you got to remember, even Darth Vader was looking at making it his empire as far back as him just turning into Vader at the end of Episode 3.
Absolutely,
it's his empire, and you know the plan's always there to take it over. And you know, you see it here, and I think it would have been really interesting. I think I think Kylo Ren saw something in Rey's like, well, if I teach her, maybe there won't actually be the conflict of the master and the student that there's always been.
Exactly.
She's so new. Maybe she'll actually appreciate this, and we can rule the galaxy together. Very similar to what Darth Vader saw with his son.
Yeah.
You know, that was well done. You know, again, this is kind of like what I said in the last spoilers. It's kind of amazing that I have so many complaints, but at the same time, so many good things to say about this movie.
Equal amount of praises, you know,
right.
Highlighting that, breaking the norms, breaking traditions, as much as the book burning, literally, and everything else we've had here. This is really important to look at. Kylo Ren, not just in his own ambition, wanting to really, you know, break the traditional role of, you know, apprentice, master, you know, the dark side training and everything, and really just frustrated with Rey, saying, you know, you're still not seeing the big picture. You're stuck on the old stuff. Him wanting to go beyond that, breaking that norm. In the same hand, you have Rey on the other end here, you know, really looking at it at a different angle, I think, of training on the light side of the Force. You know, one thing that I've always looked at with the light is this idea of the stifling, the no emotion. You know, always calm yourself. You know, don't don't give in to too much passion. Watch anger. Too much rage is bad. Ease away from that. Be controlled. She's the one who's really sort of dove in, saying, "Hey, I want answers. That really spooky, dark cave. I'm gonna go in there." And with her just going through all that, willing to do it, having no fear to do that, and coming to the conclusion, this isn't giving me the answers I'm looking for, and really reaching that conclusion herself to say, this is the alignment I'm going to stay on. This is the side I'm going to be on. I'd argue she's pushed and broken a lot of norms of what we've traditionally been presented about light side Jedi too. And that's so cool. Both of them are representatives of that. It's almost like new movement,
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but I think at the end of the day, if they're going to do this properly, there's going to be a bit of what's old is new again.
This is true.
I think they're both going to end up finding out that there's lessons to be learned that they probably would have caught the first time if they were legitimate and regular Sith and Jedis.
Yeah, for sure.
So that again, part of my complaints, but hey, this is the road that they're taking Rey down. Some of the things to watch out for is that Kylo Ren is going to need an apprentice.
Yes, he will.
Is it part of the Knights of Ren? Who is it? What's that going to look like? How does Rey move forward with her training?
Right.
There's no one to train her. She can't even check the manual.
Right.
So, but there's all kinds of Sith artifacts out there. Maybe there are some Jedi that survived the temple going down. Again, we weren't specifically told that all of Luke's students died. So, even though this was the Last Jedi, but whatever.
Yeah, they're dead. I'm telling you, they're dead.
Yeah. Laura Dern dying, that was pretty badass.
Yes, it was. If crazy, you highlighted that. That's the next moment I was just about to bring up. What a way to go out! That was an epic scene. In terms of space battles, space odysseys, we've had some reckless stuff done with hyperspace entry, and let me just say, this is one thing I've really liked in general with sci-fi. I think the last, especially 5 years or so, how we've had hyperspace travel handled. In earlier iterations of Star Wars, Star Trek, this has always been a vehicle to get us between scenes, to jump to a new quadrant, or to just get us somewhere else. Actively leveraging that and using it the way they have, both in Episode 7 for Han Solo doing the light speed landing, to get him and Finn and Chewie onto let's call it Death Planet, and with what we saw here,
that is Starkiller Base, sir.
Thank you. to what we see here, freaking fantastic. I'm even seeing a little twinkle of the new Star Trek line with Mark Pine. You had I think it was in movie 2 where you had that starship cruiser that actually managed to pursue the Enterprise through hyperspace and fire on them while in warp drive. Like just in general stuff like that. I'm glad to see that boundary being pushed and bent, and this was a sick, cool way to do that in this movie. So, yeah, rad.
Yeah, no, that was pretty badass. Jeez, I was just going to bring up something that I liked. Oh, well, yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Yeah, I would have to say overall the conflicts in this fight are really good. Again, the Snoke's guards taking on Rey and Snoke.
Yeah.
That was a bit too quick, but besides that, it was a lot of fun. Again, we talked about it while he wasn't actually there. Just the visuals of Luke standing in front of the Rebel base. It's worth bringing up again. That just looked so badass.
Powerful
yeah,
scene.
It's very powerful.
Yep.
That's good stuff. Yeah, geez, I had like 5 things and now they're gone. I was going to bring up that I really liked. I think I brought this up again. I'll bring it up again. Poe. Yep. I really liked his evolution as a character. The whole story arc that he had, I thought was really good. Dealing with, boy, man, I mean, he gets people killed. He just shrugs it off.
He does.
He's just like, hey, that's the game. That's what you're doing here.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. But him becoming a more responsible leader, which is something I think he's really going to end up becoming in the next movies. He's going to end up leading the rebellion.
Same.
Yeah, what did you think of the whole scenario with Finn and Rose going to what's the name of that planet? But that whole arc I talked about it briefly.
Yeah.
Let me find that real quick.
Some people thought that was a waste of time. You were saying that it was just a little bit too much, too diversionary.
Gentle bite.
Thank you. Bite. I disagree. I don't think it was. In fact, I think this adds to lore. And here's why I say that. So often we don't get a chance to really look at the supplier side, the backing of this. I think it's so easy to kind of internalize. The rebels are doing their thing and they're producing their own weapons, and the empires they're making this stuff somewhere. There's this, they're just factoring in.
I always wondered, where the hell are all these X-wings coming from? Especially like during the original trilogy, it's like, you guys don't. You're the rebellion. Where are you finding these things?
Exactly.
Who's making these things for you? It's kind of interesting that they flesh that out a little bit.
It is, which is one reason I was fine with that. Even as brief of an explanation as that was, really showing the people, those who try to remain neutral in this conflict and who've just made profit hands over fist and sort of have their own oasis. They're trying to sit off, backed out of the direct conflict portion of it. It's, give me my profit, give me my cash, I'll gamble, I'll enjoy like a life of luxury. I won't have to worry about being on the wrong side of the First Order, wrong side. Hey, it's all good. And I guess knowing that type of machinery is happening, that I'd argue with the absence of the Republic, you sort of, this to me felt as the function of fulfilling some of the political drama that you lose with, really having rebel leadership non-existent. Right. And I'd say as a Star Wars that is a very naturally occurring anchoring thing that happens in this series. I was more than fine with that, and I felt that kind of replaced what we would have had if we would have had like the Senate actually present. Mm-hmm. So more than fine with it.
The fight between Finn and Captain Phasma, that was fun.
That was due. That was due.
Someone else. I'm pretty sure she's dead now.
Pretty sure
Captain Phasma's dead now. I don't see her coming out of that one. No. I mean, she was in the trash compactor in the planet that blew up, but somewhere there's a comic that explains how she gets out of that too. But
oh man,
yeah. That was pretty definitive death.
It was. It goes back to the old rule about. Was it off screen? Was it off camera? Or did you actually see it? Chances are, if you saw it, pretty sure they're dead. In general. It doesn't always apply, but in general. But yeah, cool scene. Another a shorter scene, but a good coming about for Finn. That was very due. And again, things pointing to him completely breaking off with his past and having no hesitation doing that. So cool. Also, can I just say those batons are sweet. Those stun batons that like spin.
Oh, I know. I want one.
Oh, yeah.
I want one.
I love that design. Again, that points to the really strong mechanical design that comes all the way down to the weapons, the old school blasters, to some of the more newfangled things we've seen, like those batons, and the miniaturized like Death Star battering ram, like just for blowing open bunkers. Down from man-portable items to massive starships, the technical direction here is just rocking. So, good stuff.
It's also kind of cool that Finn being a traitor, being an ex-stormtrooper, really comes in handy for the rebellion.
Oh, a lot,
several times. It was like, what's that thing? I know exactly what that is. Let me tell you all about it. Here's what you do.
No, it's been useful, and you don't have to, send a deadly. Likely suicide mission to get plans. I mean, look at Rogue One.
Right.
So that's handy on more than one occasion. And I think, looking into it, losing him would not only hinder that, but I really wonder, just looking at an alternate side of it, if we did lose Finn in this movie, what impact that would have had on Rey moving forward, or some of the others.
So what do you think? You think they're setting up some kind of love triangle here between?
Definitely.
I don't even need to finish. You're just saying definitely.
Yeah.
I was going to say between Rey and Finn and Leia, but all right.
Oh. See, look at you now. You're trying to rope me into something.
No, but yeah, I mean between Rey and Finn, and I think even Poe, and I think Rose is going to be a part of that.
Yeah, you're the third or fourth person I've heard that's said Poe in this somewhere. Between, or like Poe Ray or something like that. Don't know about all that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, Rey's not supposed to be hooking up with anyone, so
Exactly. So
she's Jedi. Not that anyone taught her that. So that's going to inevitably turn her into a Sith. Can't have those kind of attachments. Look at what happened to Anakin.
Yeah, right? See?
You only need to reach 30 years back to find out the lessons of that one. Or just go ask Ben Solo. He'll tell you. But, yeah, so what do you think of Poe? Let's talk about Poe again. Do you think he's Force sensitive?
No.
No, you don't. I think he is.
I don't. Interesting. I see him as such a such a by the books manual guy. Unorthodox given with a lot of his approaches.
Yeah.
He will do whatever he deems needs to be done to get the job done. If that means 20, 30, 40, 50, 150 have to die, so be it. It's gonna get done the best way he knows how.
Well, I didn't say he's a good Jedi. I just said he was Force sensitive. I mean, obviously, if he's willing to just slaughter dozens of people to, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But, no. I think his piloting skills are a symptom of being Force sensitive.
I'm with you. Interesting, because I was going to comment. The guy has pulled off some insane feats,
right?
Just in 2 movies, and his ability is insane. I mean, and it's not just an X-wing. Like you give him a fighter to fly with weapons, he is going to be a monster with it.
Yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards that. I'm wondering if we're going to see that. God knows they need to beef up the numbers for the Jedi a little bit now. So
interesting note. That's an interesting angle.
But I still don't think Finn is, even though he really wants to be. I don't think he is Force sensitive.
I completely agree.
But that's fine. That's what makes Finn so awesome, is the fact that he is very limited to what he knows, which is his stormtrooper training. But he reaches out and he tries to branch out and he tries to do all these things despite it.
He does. You see this not just here, but I love it. In episode 7, someone who's had zero experience with the lightsaber or anything like that. It's like whatever. I'm just gonna make do with what I got. Let's go with it.
Yeah, and that almost got him killed, by the way.
Going up against someone who actually A, is Force sensitive, B, has some training, probably not the best thing for your life expectancy.
We haven't talked about this yet. Kylo Ren's cross hilt on his lightsaber. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I love it.
You do? I think that's so dumb.
Yeah, it's funny. This was something that was poked at so hard after the original Episode 7 trailer. In fact, everyone would, they had there's a couple of good gifs I saw with him activating his lightsaber, and then the hilt, and then 2 more hilts, and then hilts on the blade, and then hilts on the hilts.
Right.
Just stupid stuff like that. But
it's so impractical.
It is, in a way. I mean, he makes his uses of it. Like, it reminds me of the exchange with Finn in Episode 7, where during the clash he used it to burn his shoulder.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I mean, he makes his uses, but his lightsaber, I view it like, especially the way he handles it, it's like a great sword. And one a masterful trick, I think, using great swords, and especially just medieval style wielding them, or like hand and a half swords, was either making use of your guard or being able to use sort of like the bottom portion of that blade to give you extra leverage, on your swing. So of course you're not going to sit there and grab a lightsaber, burn yourself to death, but just having a unique design like that, I like it. I think it fits his style of swordsmanship really well. So,
something I was wondering, and this isn't a positive or a negative, but something I was wondering earlier today, what the hell happened to R2-D2? Where'd he go? Did he stay on the planet with Luke, or did he go with them on the Falcon? And do you remember seeing him past that point when they separate?
The last scene I remember is as Luke's projection visited them when they were there at the base. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming, I'd have to. Man,
was he there?
What, at the base or at the Falcon?
At the base or in the Falcon. Did you see him at any point past when they leave Octu?
Yes, he was definitely at the base. In fact, it was the scene Yeah, it was a scene where Luke, right before, or right after he addresses Leia. But yeah, I'm assuming R2 went on with everyone in the Falcon. I
Okay.
see why he wouldn't.
So who gets R2 now?
Oh,
I mean, is Rey just going to just get everything from all the dead people?
She may as well at this point.
I mean, she's got Chewbacca, and I don't mean that she owns him, but obviously he's with her now.
Right.
She's got the Falcon from Han Solo, who she knew for about 2 hours. She gets everything. Was she going to get R2-D2 as well? I mean, what the crap?
I mean, she needs a droid, right?
Guess. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be negative. That was a genuine question, though. I don't remember seeing him past that point.
Right.
Kind of would have been cool if he would have stayed on the island.
Yeah, just chilled out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He's seen all kinds of stuff for the Jedi and the Sith.
You know, that's the thing, man. I can't help but think, when I look at R2, I'm like, man, if a droid could just sit here, just stand up on a chair and just talk in proper English, the stuff he could tell, man.
Oh, yeah. No, he could probably teach Rey himself.
He could. He probably could.
Look, he did this before. Don't do that. All right? That didn't work out. That's how we ended up with the Empire. Just don't do that shit.
It's like, let me tell you about Annie.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point? Because at some point during the last 3 decades, in between Episode 6 and Episode 7, R2-D2 had to have sat down with Luke and be like, "All right, look, I got to tell you some stuff because you're kind of running around here and you're trying to find Jedi relics and stuff. I need to tell you a couple things. There's some stuff that happened. I need to let you know." Except for all came out beep boop bop boop
Beep,
boop
boop.
beep boop boop. Yeah, just like that. So
I love it that he does have some attitude, though. I really laughed when Archie just starts going off on him, and then it looks like, hey, watch the language. You're in a sacred place.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my point. Let's get some more R2-D2 going here. God, I hope we had more 3PO in this one.
We did.
Just the perfect amount, I would say.
I agree.
But not nearly enough R2-D2.
I agree.
This guy, I mean, he has seen it all.
He has.
So obviously that means that we must not see him, because obviously the things that happened in the past are supposed to be ignored. So I'm sorry, that's very cynical of me from what I saw with this. But he's barely in it. It's R2 freaking D2.
Yeah.
BB-8's fine. Actually, I think they toned down BB-8 a little bit. We didn't get so much of him. He's fine.
Yep.
But he is definitely he could easily be Ewok annoying if they used him too much.
Easily. Yeah, so there's a fine balance you have to strike here.
Yeah, but not nearly enough R2-D2.
Yeah.
But what we got was good. That whole thing when he does the projection of Leia asking for Obi-Wan, that was perfect.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really good.
Hit him right in the feels.
The interaction with Luke and Chewbacca when that door just comes bashing in.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you initially think maybe that was Rey too?
I did.
And then it's Chewbacca, and that was awesome. Luke going onto the Falcon. I mean, those were some things they definitely got right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. Not enough of it. Not quite enough of it.
I agree. I agree because it again can't build any more hype to that they're over 3 decades for some of these reunions. Yeah. And these are moments in movies. This stands outside of so much other film where Luke being reunited with Chewie, with Leia, with R2D. Every one of those moments has a certain magic to it.
Right.
And I don't even have to be a long time fan to see that connection. Those are really exciting moments, and that's the stuff you look forward to, and that I'd argue gets you hyped about a movie like this. So.
Yeah. No. That being said, the reunion between Luke and Leia was pretty good.
Yes, it was
pretty good. That was appropriate.
Yes, it was.
Despite the fact that he wasn't actually there.
Right.
But besides, we'll look past that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. So what do you think we'll see in 9? Let's talk about 9 real quick.
Yeah. Going forward,
do you think we'll see another? Do you think we'll finally get a time jump like they usually do in the episodes, or do you think that the next one will take place right after? I can see cases for either.
Yeah. I'd actually like there to be at least a little bit of time
Oh yeah, I want there to be a lot of time.
There needs to be some that passes here because one, with how sparse the rebels are. I mean, at this point, I mean, everybody's having a party in the Falcon. Well, not really a party, but I mean, you need to really flesh things out, maybe beef up the ranks a bit, or some other way that what is going to be the force that takes down the First Order. Hey, as awesome as Jedi are, I'm not expecting Rey to go flying across the galaxy, lightsabering destroyers in half. I'm sorry, that's not, no. You need a plausible way to set that up. How's that's going to happen? How much of that's going to be an inside job or whatever else? That's going to leave some room for some good development, everything like that. I think it'd be healthy. It's been done before. You look at the original Star Wars trilogy. Having that time, I think, did a lot for the series. I think. In fact, it builds up anticipation. I mean, who did not like seeing Luke from the end of Empire Strikes Back and what he is Return of the Jedi? You know, as soon as he drops that cloak, like it's on, and it's like, oh man, like this is the guy. Like he's back. He's still got like all this attunement with the Force. Still using Force chokes and all this other sick stuff, like the mind tricks. Yeah, it's Luke, and even more so with that time pass, we kept wondering, man, what does he learn now? Like, what can he do now? That was fun.
Yeah, no, I want there to be at least 5 years, maybe more if they want to do it. I want to see Kylo Ren at the height of his power. I want to see Rey just beginning to understand her power.
Yep.
Even though, despite the fact that the precedent in this movie was that you need little to no time to do either of these things, but I think JJ will fix that. I think he'll bring it back to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because it only takes 2 days to destroy an entire galactic republic, and it's God. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be positive.
Come on, man. Come on.
I'm trying to be positive. No, yeah. I want to see Poe in a strong leadership position 5 years with Leia running everything, and who will no, I'm not going to assume that. How do you think they're going to handle the situation with Leia? Do you think they'll kill her off early on, or do you think they're going to recast it and just continue with the story? Because the initial rumors were that there's a lot that was supposed to happen with Leia and Kylo Ren in Episode 9.
Interesting. Very interesting. This is one of those where I think having, of course, the inside perspective, if you are actually part of the creative team, would lend you the most weight to that. And I say that because it depends how much you have filmed already, what extra content you're going to be using. If not, if that is one of the simplest segues to be able to do that and just not recast and just start, with there being a reason this is what happened, maybe.
Or they could kill it. They could kill her off screen.
They could kill her off screen, and I was just walking into those waters. But the more I think about that, that's for someone as prominent as her. You could do it, but you'd really have to push that case. That's hard.
I don't disagree with you, but they killed a lot of things off screen in this movie.
This is true. Too. So I can't count things too soon.
I would prefer they just recast her and play out the story that they had planned. And again, it's broad brushes. They obviously have a different writer now, a different director now than what they originally had. But there was some kind of plan for her.
Exactly.
Play it out. That's,
why not?
In my opinion, play it out.
You've come this far.
Recast her. I think honestly that's what Carrie Fisher would want. She would want you to continue this story, and not let her passing ruin it.
Right. Yeah.
Or ruin maybe is the wrong word. Break it.
Right.
Maybe break it is the right way to say that. Maybe even have Rey with an apprentice. I don't know. Let's just look. But I don't really like where they've left this. So I would like to see them take a significant time jump and put us well into the future.
Yeah.
Put us in a good place where things have been climaxing to an end here in this war. The rebellion was able to quickly gain a lot of people and take the fight to the First Order.
Right.
And we're at things are at a head here.
Yeah.
Or not. Maybe it ends in some other way. But I really am not a fan of how they left this right now. So let's move these characters ahead a few years.
I'm down.
In my opinion.
No, and frankly, I think that's a pretty plausible way to do it. I think you run a risk of picking things right back up 2 hours after. It's like, all right, like
I didn't like that, and really, and I really don't understand why there wasn't a huge time jump in this movie. I get why they didn't do it because you had the cliffhanger from 7 to 8, but as soon as they resolved that,
right,
there really should have been a massive time jump in this movie, and I really don't understand why there wasn't. There needs to be one. These movies are best done. These Star Wars movies are best done with the time jump, and now we're at an important moment in time, and this is the story that you're seeing.
right. So,
yeah,
work with what we gotta.
Yeah, so I'm kind of Star Warsed out.
Same. So, but you got about what, 6 months to recover?
6 months, and then you get Solo, a Star Wars story.
All right,
and there's nothing but good things around that one. I'm sure it'll be fine. What's his name? What's his name is directing it? Opie. Right. What's his name? You're right now.
Here, let me take a look.
Oh, you're gonna look? Okay. Yeah, but they've reshot that thing almost from start to finish now. You get a good director on there, classic director who usually does pretty good, if not to exceptionally great things. And what's his name, Ian?
Ron Howard.
There you go, Ron Howard. So yeah, you got Solo in 6 months, so you're gonna get all the Han Solo and Chewbacca that you probably never asked for. But hopefully you want it. Look at that. you got a Wookiee sound going there. But yeah. So I think that's it.
That'll do.
That'll do it.
Overall, hey, still recommend get out and check this one out.
You have to see it. Look, I took our spoilers as an opportunity to rant, and I think a lot of people are feeling those rants. This is a fun, good movie. I mean, whether you like it or not, this is where things are going forward, and it was a fun ride.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like how they disrespected a lot of things that have been built for the last 30 plus years, but this was a fun ride.
Right. And with respect to that, if whether you've been following Star Wars really closely, you're looking for how the canon is going to build. I've been looking forward to some answers. Please see this. If you're just more of a passing fan and you're just seeing chronologically how this stuff all lays out, more than worth it. Again, it's a real fun ride, worth getting in theaters to see. So get out there, check it out. And,
let us know what you think.
Please.
I want to hear what people think about this. I mean, this is a very controversial issue
yes,
right now.
It is.
People are across the board on how they feel about this. I'd love to hear it. Comment below. Send us an email, ksawmedia@gmail.com. No, I think I did it. I think I closed this out, didn't I?
Right on, man.
All right, that's it.
All right, be sure to tune in for other upcoming reviews, and as always, our regular show on Jagged Edge. But till then, take it easy, everybody. Hey, people. Thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it'd be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.